The Cold War, an era marked by intense rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union, saw the two superpowers engaged in a silent, deadly dance of espionage. It was a time when information was power, and the stakes couldn't have been higher. Both nations were desperate to outmaneuver each other, deploying spies, moles, and double agents in a covert war that played out in the shadows of diplomacy and global politics. Amidst this backdrop, one of the most shocking betrayals in U.S. intelligence history unfolded. Operation Monopoly, a case where trust was shattered and national security was gravely compromised. In the late 1990s, the FBI was on high alert. A chilling realization began to dawn on the agency. There was a mole within their ranks, a traitor who had been feeding highly classified information to the Russians for years. This revelation was the catalyst for an intense internal investigation that would ultimately lead to the capture of one of the most notorious spies in American history, Robert Hanssen. Unbeknownst to his colleagues, Robert Hanssen had been compromising U.S. intelligence efforts from within. A devout Catholic and outwardly loyal patriot, Hanssen led a double life as a spy for the Soviet Union. His motivations were complex, driven by a mix of financial greed, a sense of superiority, and perhaps a deep-seated resentment towards his peers and superiors. Hanssen's betrayal of Operation Monopoly began almost as soon as he gained access to the operation's details. As a senior FBI agent with access to top-secret information, Hanssen was in a prime position to gather intelligence on U.S. counterintelligence activities. He meticulously collected classified documents, surveillance logs, and other sensitive materials related to Operation Monopoly, which he then passed on to his Soviet handlers. The seeds of Operation Monopoly, an elaborate and highly classified initiative launched by the FBI and the CIA, were planted in 1977 when the Soviet Union began construction on its new embassy on Wisconsin Avenue in Washington, D.C. This site, perched on Mount Alto, offered the Soviets a strategic vantage point from which they could potentially intercept sensitive radio communications from key U.S. government buildings, including the White House, the Pentagon, and the U.S. Naval Observatory, official residence of the Vice President of the United States. Alarmed by this possibility, U.S. intelligence agencies conceived a bold counter-surveillance plan to turn the tables on the Soviets. The FBI purchased a seemingly ordinary three-bedroom house on Wisconsin Avenue, directly across from the new Soviet embassy. This unremarkable suburban home would serve as the cover for one of the most audacious espionage operations of the Cold War. The house from the outside appeared to be just another family residence, but beneath the surface, it was anything but ordinary. The basement of this house would soon become the starting point for an extraordinary mission, Operation Monopoly. The plan was deceptively simple, yet extraordinarily risky. Dig a tunnel from the house directly beneath the Soviet embassy, equipping it with state-of-the-art eavesdropping technology. This tunnel would, in theory, provide the U.S. with a direct line into the heart of Soviet communications on American soil. Construction of the tunnel, codenamed Monopoly, began in earnest. But it was far from a straightforward task. The project faced numerous challenges from the outset. Digging a tunnel of this scale beneath a foreign embassy, all while maintaining total secrecy, was an engineering and logistical nightmare. The tunnel was designed to be large enough for an adult to stand comfortably, well-lit, and equipped with the most advanced surveillance technology of the era. The entrance to the tunnel was cleverly concealed within the basement of the FBI safe house. This basement, which appeared ordinary, was in fact heavily fortified and soundproofed to prevent any noise from the construction from being detected. Heavy equipment was brought in under the guise of routine home improvements, and the workers, all vetted and sworn to secrecy, began the arduous task of digging through the earth, inching ever closer to their target. Technical difficulties plagued the operation. Water leaks and equipment malfunctions were frequent, and each setback brought new doubts about the feasibility of the mission. The tunnel had to be dug through a variety of soil and rock types, which required different tools and techniques. The FBI had to ensure that the excavation did not disturb the surface above, which could have raised suspicion. Special measures were taken to prevent the tunnel from collapsing, including reinforcing the walls with steel beams and waterproofing the structure to prevent groundwater from seeping in. Yet the potential intelligence gains were too significant to abandon. As the tunnel grew closer to its target, it was outfitted with sophisticated eavesdropping devices, including advanced microphones and telephone line taps. There were even experiments with laser beam technology designed to intercept Soviet communications without detection. FBI agents, disguised as construction workers and subcontractors, worked tirelessly to maintain the operation's secrecy. They gathered intelligence on the Soviet embassy's layout and monitored the comings and goings of Soviet personnel. Surveillance cameras captured every detail, while inside the tunnel, agents believed they were on the brink of a major intelligence breakthrough. Despite the FBI's efforts, the tunnel's construction was fraught with challenges. One of the critical issues was the uncertainty surrounding the exact location within the Soviet embassy where the tunnel would emerge. The blueprints provided a general idea, but the specifics of the embassy's interior were unclear. One agent recalled the anxiety of not knowing where the tunnel would end. "You didn't know where you were going to come up. We had the plans, but you don't know what a room is used for. It might end up being a Xerox room or a storage room. What you want is a coffee room where people talk, or a secure room where they think no one can hear them." As the tunnel neared completion, frustration mounted. The advanced espionage technology installed within it consistently failed to produce valuable intelligence. The FBI struggled to understand why their sophisticated equipment wasn't yielding the expected results. Unbeknownst to them, the operation had been compromised from the very beginning. In 1989, while Operation Monopoly was still in progress, Robert Hanssen sold the operation's details to the KGB. Hanssen's betrayal was catastrophic. The Soviets were made fully aware of the tunnel's existence, not only rendering the entire operation useless, but also giving them the opportunity to feed false and misleading information to the Americans, turning the operation into a tool of deception. For years, the FBI had poured time, money, and resources into a project that had been doomed from the start. To understand the full impact of this operation, consider the words of John Carl Warnecke Sr., an architect who had been involved in the design of the embassy. He later expressed his shock upon learning of the tunnel, stating, "I wonder how the hell they did it. To get all that dirt out, somebody would have spotted it." This quote underscores the audacity and complexity of Operation Monopoly, as the FBI went to great lengths to ensure the secrecy of the tunnel's construction, even managing the removal of dirt in such a way that it blended with the existing embassy construction efforts. In February 2001, after years of betraying his country, Hanssen was finally caught in the act. He was arrested near a Virginia park after making a dead drop to his Russian handlers. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and Hanssen was quickly charged with multiple counts of espionage. By then, the damage was done. The tunnel, which had cost hundreds of millions of dollars and taken over a decade to build, lay abandoned. The FBI had to come to terms with the fact that Operation Monopoly had been an enormous failure. The exposure of Operation Monopoly was a bitter pill for the U.S. intelligence community to swallow. It wasn't just the loss of the tunnel, it was the realization that a trusted agent had been systematically undermining their efforts for years. Hanssen's betrayal forced the FBI and CIA to reevaluate their internal security protocols, leading to sweeping reforms designed to prevent such a breach from ever happening again. Operation Monopoly now stands as a stark reminder of the potential consequences when even the most sophisticated operations are exposed. It serves as a cautionary tale about the limits of trust and the ever-present danger of deception in the world of intelligence. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think was the most significant consequence of Robert Hanssen's betrayal? The complete compromise of Operation Monopoly, or the Soviets' ability to feed false information to the U.S. intelligence community? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more intriguing stories from the world of espionage.